Hello, welcome to Talking Good Games match preview of West Ham United taking on Ghent in the second leg of the quarter-final of the Europa Conference League on Thursday night. Gonzo, it's a big one. What did you make of Ghent last week?
Fast, more skillful than I thought, but very direct. Very direct. They are a team that know their strengths and they play to them. And they would release the front players very, very quickly. And actually not dissimilar in the way that they would release the ball to what Newcastle were trying to do against us, actually. Very aware of what their front two can do. Once it's up there, they will get and support them very, very quickly, but also happy to drop back into position and defend. Certainly very, very good. They're a counter-attacking team and they're very good at it. And that's something that I obviously criticised West Ham for, which is if we're going to be a counter-attacking team, then have some players that can be really, really quick up front, but then others that are going to hit them quickly and hit them early. And they seem to have that balance really nice, actually.
Yeah, I went into the game not knowing anything about them kind of thing. So it was like a blank canvas for me. And I was quite impressed by the tactical approach to the game. I thought it caused us a lot of bothers throughout from the first minute to the last minute, really. I thought they were the better team. I thought we were fortunate to some extent to come away with a draw in the end. I thought their fans would be a bit disappointed they didn't capitalise on the lion's share of possession and chances that they had and didn't take a lead into the London Stadium. So I was impressed with what I seen. Like you said, tactically, they had a front two, which there was a lot of talk about, but I thought there was one or two other players that caught the eye for them as well. And like you said, very direct, don't mind dropping the ball in behind your defence. But in the second half, I felt that we eliminated that a little bit by dropping deep. And they said, that's all right, then we'll just play in front of your defence then. And that led to the equaliser. So they are able to adapt as well a little bit. I felt like at half-time, we switched up to get rid of their strengths, and they showed us that they're quite flexible in their approach. So, yeah, I come away quite impressed. The one thing I will say, though, I felt we were quite poor last week.
Yeah.
And while I thought Ghent were impressive, they still only drew the game. So I think there is a reflection of their ability in some regards, that even despite how bad West Ham were, they were still not able to win on the night. So they got their tactics right. West Ham were crap, but they had to come from behind and get a draw, and that was as good as it got for them, kind of thing. So that gives me a smidgen of confidence going into this one. Gonzo, there was a lot of talk about Gift Orban before the game. What did you make of him?
Yeah, strong for a little fella, actually. Very quick, inventive, actually. So, we use his instinct quite a lot to the player, and not an orthodox player, actually. He's quite happy to play, to improvise whichever way his body's in. If he's not in the correct position, he'll flick it. He'll do whatever. He'll use
an overhead kick to hit the bar.
Well, that's a great case in point. He's quite happy to contort his body to do something early. He won't wait until he's perfectly set to do something. If he wants to do something quickly, he'll do it quickly. You've got to be careful with players that do that as well, because I just think a sort of traditional approach means that you're going to anticipate they're going to stand there and look to do the obvious stuff. He doesn't do the obvious stuff, I think, is the laboured way I'm trying to say. So, yeah, he's going to be a hard player to read, actually.
Yeah, I was impressed by him as well, actually. Very brave, very confident as well. You can see he's confident. Got a free kick outside the box. He said, I'm having this one. Even when he took a couple of ambitious shots and they were high and wide, you could see the fans respond to him, which was unlucky. Go again next time, will you? He's got the backing of that fan base already. You can see he's enjoying his football. His teammates trust him as well. I was pleasantly, surprised. I had high expectations for him, I think, because of the hype and because of his goals going record. If anything, I was fevering him a little bit. I thought, I hope he's having an off day tonight, kind of thing, especially in the first half. And the ball was dropping in and around our 18-yarder. I thought, this drops to him. The form he's in, the goals are still the same size, regardless of what league you play. And there's a good chance he's going to get a couple of shots away and possibly get a goal. But we did well to keep him relatively quiet. But he does pose a little bit of a danger. But the good news is they drew. Ghent drew at the weekend against McKellen, who are not having the best of seasons in Belgium at the minute. They drew 1-1. And Gift Orban didn't start the match, but he did come on at half-time. So whether he was just being rested or whether they're trying something that wouldn't involve him, which would be a bit surprising at the London Stadium, we'll have to wait and see. Was there any other players that stood out for you, Gonzo?
I don't know who. I the other forwards, I don't know who the guy was, the right-footed guy who was in midfield. He kept on trying to put the ball through. He was looking for it. That was his job. We were going to have to basically going to have to stick Flynn Downs on him. That's what we have to do to stop that ball. Then you perhaps don't have to retreat back as far as you did. Can't remember his name, but he was pretty damn good and pretty direct, and he was good. Had a real good long range curling pass on him. So yeah, and obviously the two forward. Obviously had old Sven. Old Sven comes playing wide, but he didn't come quite as much as I thought he would do. And he came, but he deceived, if you know what I mean.
You couldn't resist, could you?
No.
Could not resist. I wondered if you were going to mention him. Coopers or Kuipers or Capers or whatever. That was the other striker. That was the guy that scored a goal. I thought he was quite impressive as well, actually. Because I was thinking, hang on a minute, where's all the hype for this guy? It's all about Orban. And in fairness to the Coles before the game, they were highlighting him as well. But certainly in the build-up, it was all about one man. But I thought he was just as good, actually. And Hong impressed me. He was the one that was sort of getting up to support the front too. So what are you laughing at now?
I thought initially he was saying honk, and I was actually quite bored at one point. Every time they said his name, I was watching it with somebody else, and every time they said his name, I went there's honk, and then they withdrew it basically. They took him off. He was substituted. I was quite disappointed actually because that was I thought that was the best part of the game.
Well, I thought he had a very good game, getting up to support the front two. But like you said, out of possession, they slip into their sort of 5-4-1 and make it difficult to break down. Very, very impressive team. Now we're going to talk about West Ham before we do the team news. Just want to point you for the last time this month on this channel, but not so much on the forum channel. Point in the direction of our Patreon at patreon.com/Hammers Chat. If you want more content, if you want more Hammers Chat videos, or you just want to simply help us support the channel from £3.60 per month, allows us to keep creating content every single day on both channels, including the video you're watching right this very second. Without the patrons, it wouldn't be possible. The link's in the description below, and up this week we've had the Hammerlytics from the Arsenal game. We've had our player ratings from the Arsenal game, and I did a podcast with Anton Ferdinand discussing David Moyes' future, what he thought of the recent games, the success of the under-18s, Declan Rice possibly going to Arsenal, and what he honestly thought of Arthur Masuaku. And it's an honest opinion. That's all I will say. You're not getting the fluffy stuff from Anton. Anton tells you his honest thoughts, and his face tells you his honest thoughts as well. So when I say Masuaku, you know what Anton's thinking before he's even opened his mouth. I can promise you that. Patreon.com/Hammers Chat. Now, the team news for the Hammers ahead of the game on Thursday is there's no Gianluca Scamacca. He looks set to miss the rest of the season as he's gone through his surgery. Ogbonna is suspended for this leg. He picked up a yellow card last week in Belgium, so he's out for this one. Naif Agard should be okay, going by David Moyes' comments as to why Agard missed the game against Arsenal. The expectation is he will be available for Thursday night. So, Gonzo, with that team news in mind, let's start with goalkeeper.
Yes.
Who would you like to see in the sticks?
Areola, please. Obviously, it would be my answer. That would be my answer anyway. But yes, Areola in there.
Well, it's Fabianski for me.
Is it now?
Yeah. There's a possibility, hopefully not, but there's a possibility of a penalty shootout on Thursday. I do not want Areola in goal for it. I think Fabianski is by far the better goalkeeper. Sure. And I think you have to plan for every possible scenario. You know, yes, you could argue you can bring Fabianski on as a substitute, but I just think I'd rather have him in goal so that if it does get to a penalty shootout, he's there, he's in the game, the adrenaline's going, there's less nerves for him. I'd imagine if you bring someone on specifically to go and goal to save penalties, I'd imagine the nerves are through the roof. There's a high expectation.
But then you get the adrenaline. That's the thing. Yeah, there'll be no lack of adrenaline. Guess so.
But yeah. I would like Fabianski in goal. I think he's just as good as Areola. Yes, you like the distribution, but I think you have to plan for every possible scenario, and that is penalty shootout. And I think Fabianski's one I prefer to see in goal for that. Should it arise? Your defence, talk me through your personnel, please.
Soufal, Kehrer, Gerd, Emerson. The fastest back line I think we can pick.
Picks itself for me, really.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, fast start, fastest we can do. We're gonna need that. That was not a great watch. Old Oban against old Ogbonna. So yeah, that would be my choice there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Zuma If he was 100% fit and a normal centre back, then I'd put him in there. But he's not. He's broken, and I think you have to treat him accordingly. Kerr's had a really good game against Arsenal, so that gives him a little bit of sort of personal confidence and momentum. So let's utilise that. And then Emerson at left back. Because again, you've got to look after Aaron Creswell in the same way you've got to look after Kurt Zuma to some extent. He's not broken per se, but the guy's 34 next season. I think you've got to just take that into consideration. And with the greatest of respect to Ghent, Emerson should be fine against him. He was in good form until I was disappointed last week with him, but he's been fine. So yeah, I completely agree. You're back four. I think we're going to have the same midfield three, but talk me through it anyway, please.
Rice, Downs, and Paqueta would be my midfield three. I don't see any reason to do things any differently to that, to be perfectly honest with you, mate. Paqueta was the best player on the pitch for the last 15 minutes. That's not to say he was crap beforehand. If you didn't see it, he was brought on 74 minutes, and he was outstanding. He was a level above anything else. They would be worried about that, I would imagine. They'd be worried about facing Paqueta, and so they should be, by the way. So absolutely, let's get on there and let's play him.
I completely agree. I think Lanzini had his chance last week and blew it, in my opinion. Some people thought he did better than I did. I thought he was really poor last week. And at this stage of the tournament and this stage of the Premier League, you only get one chance. And if you don't take it tough, you've lost it, kind of thing. And I think Downs has always stepped up when given an opportunity, including last week. And like you said, Paqueta came on the pitch and was the best man on there. So that midfield three picks itself. And I'll be disappointed if it's not that midfield three on Thursday. Now, your front three then. I think two players picked themselves, but I'm intrigued to know who your third is.
I've gone with Fornals, Cornet, and Ben Rama as my front three.
Where's Boyd?
With pardon?
Where's Jared?
Well, he's go on the bench. I think he's the one player I think has been rinsed recently. Absolutely rinsed. Just lots and lots of 90 minutes from him. And he's so vital. He's so key. That I'd have him on the bench. If those lot can't do it, I will bring Bowen on. But we really need him for Bournemouth. I think we really, really need him for Bournemouth. And there's a lot of games. We played a lot of games in April. And so at the moment, if we carry on the way we're doing, then Bowen's playing all minutes of all games in April, and that will not be good for West Ham. Ultimately, you at the back end of that, you would see a tired Bowen come the end of the season. So we need to manage him a little bit. I think he's got 45 minutes in him. Don't get me wrong. Well, he's got more. He could play 90 minutes. He could play it well, but I don't think at some point in April that will take its toll. So so I would see if the others can do it first. If not, bring him on.
For now, though,
I don't really know who else to pick. To be perfectly honest with you, I'd having seen some of the other players at the lower age groups, there's no point me even saying them. There's a couple that I would quite like to see, who I think could give us the direct running and the pace that I think we would probably need. It's futile me even saying it, even though we're not speaking about what Moyes wants. It's what I want. I've got to try and look at that, and I think that's probably as good as it's going to get. I can't play, and it's not the best team that we can play because Antonio and Bowen would be in it. They really would. But otherwise we're gonna get to a stage. One of the things that's been good this season is that a lot of the players have been substituted. We discussed it in other videos. The players have not played as many minutes as before because we're having more and more substitutions earlier in games and more of them. For obvious reasons, that wasn't the case against Arsenal. I know there were some subs, but I think it's 87 minutes. So let's just forget those substitutions. If we are not careful, there's some players who are going to be absolutely worn out. So I would risk it. I would risk it with Fornals. Again, see if we can see if something can happen. One thing Fornals does is he passes the ball early. He will try and look to do that early pass. The thing I said about the fella for Ghent, Fornals will do that. And if we have Cornet through the middle, and he passes it early, it will it basically does twofold. Number one, we got Cornet's pace. Number two, Cornet's less likely to be offside because Fornals will probably give it to him when he wants it, basically. That would be my team.
Bowen, Antonio, and Cornet for me. I think it's important we win this game. I think it's a massive game. I'm picking what I think is the best 11 available. I think Cornet's a must start for partly for the reasons you said, which is squad rotation, but also just so he's an option going forward. At the minute, when we go to do our Bournemouth preview, if we did not have Ghent on Thursday, if this was a Bournemouth preview we were doing, we wouldn't have Cornet in our starting 11 because there's not enough evidence to suggest he should start. We'd say, well, Ben Rama's been fine enough, Bowen's been really good, Antonio's really good against Arsenal. Keep that front three, thank you. So we've got to give Cornet an opportunity to sort of become the second choice, if you like, left winger, right winger, and striker in some regard. At the minute, second choice to Antonio is Danny Ings, which is unpalatable. The second choice to Ben Rama is Fornals, which I don't think is adequate. The second choice to Jared Bowen, we don't really know, to be honest with you. He doesn't get taken off the pitch, but it's possible it would be Fornals. It might be Lanzini, whatever. It's not good enough, really. I'm not happy with any of those second choices, if you want. I want Cornet to almost be given the chance to become the second choice striker, the second choice right winger, and the second choice left winger, and possibly even try and become the number one choice for those positions. But at the minute, he needs an opportunity to become the backup for each of them. So Bowen, I think, is our best player, and Antonio, I just don't. I know you know this because you've not included him. I just don't want Danny Ings up front in a front three. It can't happen. If anything, he's possibly the best substitute to have. If 10 minutes to go, we need a goal in this game, Ings becomes a very good substitute to put on there because you're just getting the ball in the box kind of thing. But from the start, it's a no-go, really. So, yeah, Bowen, Antonio, and Cornet for me. I mean, Gonzo, this is a massive game, but somewhat like almost overshadowed because of the Premier League situation a little bit. I think it's removed. There is the competition as well, which is some people are not convinced by the Conference League, which I understand, by the way. I do feel it's the second leg of a quarter-final. I think it's huge, but it doesn't really feel like we're ready to play the second leg of a quarter-final. That makes sense.
No, but sometimes it's a bit of everything, isn't it? So it's not the most prestigious. They basically made this competition up to try and get worse teams.
Well, it's clubs like Ghent, with the greatest of respect. It's clubs in lesser countries with a lower coefficient.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why they've invented it. So it's just not going to have the prestige of the tournaments that have been around for years, and you can understand that. It's not. Barcelona don't play in this competition, you know that, and that's that really. I think so. You've got a bit of that, and then you've got the league form. So people are worried, and then you add into that we are not good at the moment. Okay, you have players coming out and saying, oh, we won that game because we went behind and we threw the manager's tactics out. That's what's being said now. And I think if you just take a little bit of everything, you become a little bit less excited about this. Although I do think excitement has built up and picked up following the Arsenal performance and the Arsenal result. I really do, to the point where there are some people in their own minds, and I've noticed in the comments, who are feeling so positive they're almost factoring this in as not just a victory in this game, as a tournament victory for David Moyes, you know. So because then we're on to that subject of shall we keep David Moyes, you know, in terms of, and I've heard some people even, well, it's read some people not even using the words if. You know, we win the Conference League and we stay up. David Moyes, you know, and I understand the argument. As I say, don't get me wrong, I totally do. So I think that's given people confidence, and that's a good thing. That people are now feeling that we can win this. That's a really, really good thing. I honestly, I think we get through, and if we get through convincingly, then I think you'll start to feel the hype, and you know there'll be a real spring in our step. Honestly, I think there's been a lot of misery this season. I don't think you have a season transformed, but I think if we can win this, get through convincingly, we're in the semi-final, and we take something decent out of Bournemouth, be that a win against Bournemouth or a point and a really good performance with lots of hitting the bar and, you know, scoring goals and stuff like that, and the others continue to be crap, like Leeds taking a hammer in, like Nottingham Forest looking very porous at the back, and all the other stuff, then I think people worry less about relegation. They'll be more confident in our form, confident in our players. Some of our signings, like Paqueta, are coming good, and I think you may well find there'll be a massive buzz and appreciation for this tournament. So I think we get this out of the way, and then I think we're there.
Are you confident?
I'm surprised you asked that.
Well, I think your reaction's giving me the answer.
Yeah, not so much, maybe. Not so much.
I'm
I'd
the
thought about it
same.
lots, but no, I think they can beat us. I think Ghent can beat us, yeah.
I'm optimistic. I expect us to win, by the way.
Mm.
I do expect us
Yeah.
to win. But I think that's just because we have better players. We simply have better players in Ghent. If we get beat, either there could be many things, but usually it's one of two things. Either one, we've got the tactics and lineup wrong, or two, we've got our attitude wrong. So the tactics and lineup might be correct, but the players have turned up expecting that they've already won the game before the ball's been kicked, which hasn't really been something that I've seen under David Moyes, I have to say. We never really come across as that arrogant. I mean, Kidderminster was one example where we got a bit of a shock kind of thing. But if we lose, it's because we've done something wrong. If we turn up on Thursday and all the players play 10 out of 10, tactics are right, we win the game. It's as simple as that. They will not be able to answer that because we are better than them. It's the equivalent when we play Man City. We have to be at our best and hope Man City are not at their best in order to just get something out of the match. And it's a little bit of that going on for me. So I expect us to win. In terms of confident, not really. I'm optimistic. Of course I am. I'm a confident no, because Ghent can trouble us, actually. And the tactics they were playing last week, I feel might work even more now they're playing away from home. That was them playing. They were almost trying to play some sort of like counter-attacking football without the counter-attacking aspect to it at home, and it was working. I just think at the London Stadium, the onus is on us. It's going to case of, well, you've got to attack us now, and that's going to give us the room in behind to exploit. And if anything, I think their tactics are going to cause us a little bit of bother. I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet. So I'm worried, actually. I am worried, Gonzo, because of what I've seen and because of the occasion as well. I think this is a massive game for us. I think if we can get through, we're in the semi-finals of a European competition. Yes, okay. You don't like it. You don't think it's prestigious enough. That's fine. But I do. I think it is. I think the perfect start for this tournament was last year by Roma winning it with Mourinho as manager.
Yeah,
I think that was the perfect way for this tournament. If there was any other team to some, even if it was Leicester to some extent, you'd still be a bit. They're not exactly European pedigree, are they? But for a club like Roma to rock up, take it serious, and a manager like Mourinho to win it and cry after winning it, that was the stamp of approval you needed, really. And I think for UEFA, they'll probably be looking at it thinking if Fiorentina or West Ham could go on and win this year, that's another stamp of approval. And this competition over time will get more prestigious, I think. Yeah, sure, there'll be teams over the years that win it that you'll forget about in 20 years' time. But you could probably take a look at the UEFA Cup and stuff and go, bloody hell, I didn't even know they'd won it, kind of thing. But I expect to win. I'm just a bit cautious. I'm not confident.
No, I'm not confident either, but it's only. Well, you have the evidence of the previous leg. That's fine. You just understandable. Did they have 20 shots and we had 4? Have I got that right?
Yeah, something like that. 19, I think. But what's between friends?
Hey, not a lot. Of course, there's not a lot there. That being said, I thought we were bloody awful away to Larnaca. Bloody awful. And I thought we absolutely trounced them. Now, I do appreciate that there is a golfing difference between the Cypriot League and the Belgium League, who do produce some wonderfully technical footballers, and we saw that. But we do have good players. It's all about intent. If we show the correct intent, then fine. And to be fair, I don't really know what else. The players don't need any more examples. They went out there and they showed the intent against Nottingham Forest. They had their meeting before to Nottingham Forest. They went out and showed the intent before Nottingham Forest. Soufel's spoken about going behind against Newcastle, not the most recent one, not the Tonkin, but the one up at St James's Park, and then going out there and actually just basically Moyes' tactics went out the window. They're going to go for it. Now Bowen's spoken about it. Now Paqueta's spoken about it. Arsenal, tactics out the window. Let's have a right old go. There's enough evidence there for the players. And I would say to the players, if, to actually go for it as well, I mean, and I would hope, because I hope they don't have to do that. I hope David Moyes sees it and thinks, actually, you know what? Because basically you got one or two choices. Either the players are lying or it's the truth. And I would suggest it's more conspiratorial to think that the players are lying. They actually have got together, Downs and Paqueta and Soufal. They've all got together to drip this information out there secretly about that they've gone against the manager's tactics. Is that more likely, or are they actually telling the truth? Right. Well, I think it's just more likely that they're accidentally sort of telling the truth and spilling it out there. When they're doing well, in Paqueta and Soufal's case, when they're doing interviews to their own media.
And Downs, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's English. You speak the English press.
You're absolutely right. So if that's the case, then there is something in it, which is they feel shackled by the tactics and they feel relieved when they're allowed to go for it. Basically, the handbrake gets taken off. If that's the case, I hope David Moyes knows that. He's seen it. He's got all the evidence before his eyes. Let the handbrake off. As I said in my video earlier on, honestly, that doesn't mean you have to play with no goalkeepers and no defenders. Do you know what I mean? You still have your back four, and you still have your goalkeeper in there. You still have your defensive midfielder, but actually free off the shackles and allow them to attack. If he doesn't do it, and he doesn't allow them to do it, I think that the players have got every license to go for it and seen enough evidence. I mean, listen to what David Moyes said. Right, come on. Right, yeah, blah 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 blah, all that sort of stuff. Come on, let's go out and attack them and win the tie.
What an unusual team talk. Usually, when you're playing like kids football and you're 4-0 down at half time, the manager says, "It's 0-0. Go out there in the second half. It starts at 0-0. Go again." Before our game, we're saying we're 1-0 down, lads. Come on. Right, we're going out there to start the game 1-0 down. Now let's do the.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's pretend we're losing.
Pretend we're awful.
Can I get any final words from yourself and your all-important score prediction? And obviously, if you're going to go for a draw, can you tell me what you predict the outcome of the leg will be?
Well, there's two things. Number one, this is David Moyes' defining game. If he loses this and he goes out now, there is no more West Ham job for him. That's it. That is it. He then just becomes a manager that's kept us up. I
would argue he's just wasted the last chance of winning a major trophy as a manager.
Well, exactly right. But the thing is that null and voids the last. If he then starts to sound a bit ridiculous if he then starts talking about the 2 years before that. Well, don't worry about that. We'll deal with this year, all right? And then that's the thing. So he knows that, and for that, I expect him to grasp the nettle. Also, I want to point out with the players, this is possibly the only chance a lot of those players will ever get to win a trophy. Most of them are not in Declan Rice's position. Some of them might have won a trophy. I don't know if Soufal or Souček won something at Slavia Prague. But you
have to remember, Soufal and Souček will be playing in the final in Prague.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Yeah, but I don't, yes, of course. But I just mean in terms of people winning it. My point is, my point was it may be some who have won a trophy before. Maybe Souček's won a trophy, but there might be some. Did Areola? I don't know. I guess he did. He must have got a medal at PSG. So there are exceptions. You probably go through, oh, he's won a medal. But by and large, Mikel Antonio's only chance to win a medal right now, Cresswell's only chance right now, and you can go through. I'm not going to go through the whole squad. That's really huge for these players. This is it. This is your time. This is your defining moment. History is upon you, gentlemen, and that's how they need to go out. And they need to really seize this moment. This is the point, because I tell you what, this will be the one. This is how that you erase. As you say whatever. This is how Cresswell erases last season. All right, he might not play, but you get what I'm saying. This is how you erase what happened against Frankfurt. That erases that as your defining memory of your career. This becomes the chance to solidify and cement. This is your pictures. This is the grandkids conversation. This is it now, and they need to get out there. And I think if they all appreciate that, for all of them, all the squad, all the club, everyone, then we should be through. But they also need to appreciate that everything that I've said there is also true for the Ghent players. It's also their moment. It's their history. It's where they can define themselves as footballers. So we've got to be right on it and not approach it with fear. 3-1 West Ham.
Yeah, I completely echo what you're saying. Even if, like you said about the Czech players, have they possibly won something in the past? Maybe, but this competition, while some will look down their nose at this competition, is more prestigious than winning the equivalent of the League Cup in Czech Republic, for example. So while it's at the bottom of the European tier, it's certainly not at the bottom of the footballing world in terms of winning a trophy. Yeah. And when I spoke to Anton this week, when I mentioned this game, I can almost see the pain in his face. He still talks about the FA Cup. He says, I wish I could have won a trophy so I could become a West Ham legend. I never got that chance. So I would have loved to have been a West Ham legend, but we lost the final. and when he speaks about this, he said they've got chances to become legends of West Ham United, all of them. They've all got a chance to win a trophy and put their name in history. And David Moyes got a chance of, instead of leaving a villain, leaving a hero in the summer, go out, win the trophy, leave in the summer, and you go out as one of our best managers we've ever had. You've won the trophy, something not many managers have done at West Ham. There you go, done. Legacy intact, away you go. And it's the same for a lot of these players. Like you said, Aaron Castle's the perfect example. Next year, 10 years at West Ham, he'll have been here for. So he'll be having a testimonial and possibly as a winner of a trophy. I mean, that's legend status there for you as well. So a lot of these people have, it's a big opportunity. And I think on Thursday, I think we'll win. I do think we'll win. We'll play the winner of the semi-final between Anderlecht and Alkmaar. They're playing. That game will be concluded before we kick off, so we'll know who awaits in the semi-final. At the minute, Anderlecht have a 2-0 lead in the first leg, so that's quite good news. I'd rather play Anderlecht in the semi-final, but we've got to get our job done first, which is winning on Thursday. I'm going to say West Ham 2, Ghent 1. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you've enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like on it. Myself and Gonzo are predicting West Ham United to be in the semi-final of the Europa Conference League. Get involved in the comments below with your thoughts ahead of the game. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. Oh, Patreon, patreon.com/Hammers Chat. Link in the description. Get more videos. Myself and Gonzo, catch you in a bit.